Well, I figured it's about time I made a video. It's been quite a minute. So I figured I'd just make a status of the hoard. So, here in the shop, surrounded by all of the forklifts. So I figure I'll show y'all the equipment I've got, what's going on with it, and how it's doing. So let's start with the golf cart. It is much different than it used to be. There we go. Now you can see because it's focused. Painted it. New tires, courtesy of a good buddy of mine. Redid the seat. It's no longer horrible. New steering wheel. Got a bunch of running gear, the top and everything from a donated parts cart, which is awesome. Got a push bar. Did some work on the engine. It needs a fuel pump. The one that I got on there, it works, but it leaks. It's got a seep to it, so I got to order a fuel pump for it. Something to look at. I just JB welded this fuel tank. If you're a long-time viewer, you'll remember it. I have an old 1960s or 70s riding tractor. Tiniest thing you've ever seen. Fixed it up, got it running again. Need to fix the fuel tank. Other than that, there's all my toolboxes for in the shop. Let's go outside. Oh, you know what? You can walk with me. It's gonna be like 10 people watch this video so they can watch me weave between all the forklifts. That's an old unit right there. They're putting the money into it. Got that one doing all the axles and seals and everything. We got a big forklift out here right now. It's got no AC. Get to fix that. We'll come over here. I have the F-150 and the Mazda. The old Maserati. It's still doing fantastic. I lent it to my brother for about 7 months because his car got totaled. Somebody ran into him on the interstate. So I let him borrow it, and I got it back pretty much how I sent it. So just washed it this weekend. It's all shiny again. Needs the interior cleaned. I'm not so worried about that right now. But Mazda needs brakes and it needs an engine mount. This brake over here is on its last and dying breaths. You see it's starting to get gacked. It's not metal on metal yet, but it's almost there. But then I need to rotate the tires. They're getting about where they need that. Truck I just washed yesterday actually. It needs a more thorough wash and it needs a wax because it's been brushed against by so many things. You can see all the scuffs and scratches in it. It just drives me nuts. The amount of money I paid for this and everybody just tears it up with their doors and stuff. And then like this even looks like somebody keyed it. It's like I try to park away from everybody on purpose and it just gets all scratched up all over the place. Just can't help it. It's been backed into a few times. I mean, this is all pushed in now. It's like that on the other corner where people have run into it in the parking lot. It's like a park away from everybody. It still gets messed up. I paid $400 for this car. I think the only scuff it has is this one right here. From my brother says somebody backed into it at the airport. I don't see anything anywhere else. So it's very frustrating. And then, I mean, it's got stuff like, like paint mess ups, but it's not a big deal. Still got the trailer. It's doing good. It's coming up on time for new tires just for age. They're like 4 years old. This is the lawnmower I was talking about. It starts, runs, and cuts now. It just needs a fuel tank. I'm going to get a carburetor for it too, because the one that's on it does work, but it's not, I would say, performance oriented. It doesn't work fantastic. It needs to be replaced. It was horrible because what it was is I had that fuel shut off on there with the old tank. Well, the old tank, the cap dry rotted and it was just filling up with water. Well, I thought because I had the fuel shut off it would be fine. Well, it wasn't. It filled the carburetor with water and everything was corroded. I cleaned it. Like I said, it works, but it's not happy. So, carburetor, fuel tank, and this thing's ready to go again. I put a new belt on it. It cuts grass again. All of this grass right here I cut with it, just running around. I'm just using a oil bottle as a fuel source, and it works. It's just not happy. We have the monster forklift. These are fun to work on. Fun to ride too, though. I'm gonna take you on a little tour. Just some of the other mechanic stuff. It's unfortunate. This is a cool old race car that is a 4-speed everything. Whatever the track locks or whatever the spring locks on the rear end of it. It's a cool car. The guy that owns it doesn't want to do anything with it. None of the guys here. But it's some family member or something like that. But the car, it's basically totaled. The whole bottom of it's roached out, rusted out. I think he even said the frame's twisted. Same thing with this little thing. It just sits around the guy that actually owns it. Doesn't want to do nothing with it. But like, it's one of those, you can't do nothing with it because it's somebody else's kind of things. That'd be cool to fix up. We got the 4-wheeler stash. Got this one y'all haven't seen yet. This one's new. I bought this from Mom. It runs, it rides, it's got brakes. Only thing wrong with it is the ugly headlights. So that's all that's with that one. Kawasaki is stout unit as usual. Nothing wrong with it, really. It still needs a set of tires, but miraculously, even though they look like this, they hold air. So they're not getting tires yet. And then, unfortunately, that grease boot went on the new axle I put in a couple years ago. The Honda, on the other hand, is misbehaving. Last time I went riding, it started acting like it was overheating, which it wasn't, but it was acting like it. Spitting, sputtering, no power. Made it back to the truck, and then it wouldn't restart. It would start up and shut right back off. Okay, thinking it's a fuel issue. No, fuel filter's clean, fuel pump's running. So I'm going to start unleashing a parts cannon on it. I think it's a coil. Once it gets hot, it gets worse. So I'm going to start with putting a coil on it. So that's it for the hoard. And I got, this is one of the other mechanics' trailers. And then my work truck. And some more junk over here. Scrap metal. Which, an idea I had, whether or not I do it. It has this push bumper on it already on the Kawasaki. But I was thinking of breaking the torch out and using this. Cut this whole piece off. This whole barreled piece, barred piece. And make a push bar for the front of my Kawasaki or my Honda. But I think I'd rather the Kawasaki have a big giant push bar. I think that'd look cool. So, I don't know. I do know is I've shown you all the stuff, and that's all I feel like doing. It's hot out here. It is, according to the Google, 103 feel like temperature, and I'm going to go air conditioning. See, spare golf cart parts. Technically not mine, but it was too much money for them to repair it because all the electronics were gone. The thing was flooded, so had a bunch of good spare parts on it. It's kind of a shame. Like, personally, I would fix it up if I could get the parts, because I know the controller's shot, the motor is shot, and that controller is shot. Otherwise, it's in fair shape. It needs a bunch of spare parts now, though. Needs the springs for the rear axle, some bolts, a seat, and all the steering components. Those might have gotten borrowed for another machine. But good frame. But yeah, I think that's about it. So, like what you see, and comment, rate, subscribe. I'll try and do more videos in the future. Have an awesome day.